Mr. Hope, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everybody. I think we're on already. It's only 8:55. I'm not hearing commercials. Professor J, are we on? It's 8:55, and I think they have more commercials. So we're gonna hang tight and see what's next. I don't see us coming on yet. But good morning to everybody, and I'll be back with you in a second.
Good morning.
WEHA, Port Republic, Atlantic City, and now on FM translator 100.3 W262CF, Atlantic City, Pleasantville.
Attention listeners, mark your calendars and get ready to make a difference because it's time for our annual Radiothon fundraiser on WEHA 88.7 and 100.3 FM. Join us live Thursday, March 20th from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. as we come together to support your favorite community-based radio station. As a listener-supported nonprofit 501c, we rely on your generous contributions to keep the music playing and the voices of our community heard. Every dollar counts, and remember, your donations are tax-deductible, so whether it's $5 or $500, your contribution helps us provide the quality programming you love. Ready to pledge? Call our pledge line at 609-641-8870, extension 2, and be part of this incredible day. Together, we can continue to foster faith in God, connection, and conversation in our community. So let's make some noise for WEHA and support the voices who matter. That's Thursday, March 20th. Don't forget to tune in and lend your support.
Do you have an event coming up and need a facility? Well, let me tell you about Atlantic County's newest banquet facility, Beacon Hall, located in the heart of Egg Harbor City, right off the White Horse Pike. Beacon Hall is a full-service banquet facility that is 5,000 square feet with an attached parking lot. Book your conferences, book signings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, repasts. No event is too big or too small. You can book your next event by calling us at 609-965-4255 or email us at bookbeaconhall@gmail.com. That's BOOKBEACONHALL @gmail.com. Try Beacon Hall, where we turn moments into cherished memories.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily those of WEHA, Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 FM. We Have Gospel, Spread the Gospel Inc., or any of its sponsors. WEHA is a listener-supported radio station. To make a donation, call 609-641-8870. Visit our headquarters at 3 Canal Drive, Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, 08234, or log on to our website, wehavegospel.com.
We have gospel.
I was trying to change back to my business because on the road I use this one. I'm using my laptop, and I'm like, okay, I got all the words and using my laptop. I got you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon, and right here on your favorite gospel radio station, still award-winning WEHA. I am your co-host, First Lady Parrish, and I'm welcoming all of our women in ministry for International Women's Month, and we're so glad to have you. I'm going by script here, so there. So this broadcast is being brought to you by the Hawks Family Businesses, who've been serving our community for over 35, almost 40 years. and Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories. And also, we want to thank all of our listeners, supporters, even for sponsoring our radio station. WEHA is a Christ-centered, community-focused, and listener-supported radio station, and we have Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 Atlantic City. Now, before we get into welcoming our women in ministry, we have a few community announcements because we are in the community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon. So we want to announce them in some of later dates, but today we have some things going on. We congratulate Dr. Thelma Witherspoon and Yvette Soto, Democratic candidates for the Hamilton Township Committee, and they're now in a campaign fundraiser. So if you're near Applebee's, they're still going on. It started at 8, they'll go till 10, and it's a breakfast at Applebee's at 700 Consumer Square in Mays Landing. There's sponsorships available. As we know, Dr. Witherspoon and Yvette Soto are candidates. They do have sponsorships. You can have a gold sponsorship for $1,000, a silver for $500, and a bronze for $250. And you can make your checks payable to Witherspoon and Soto, P.O. Box 891 in Atlantic City, and they're paying for this announcement. Also going on today at the Mount Zion Windsong Church at 353 New Road, and that's South New Road going across the Black Horse Pike. It's going on today is a Black Family Wellness Expo. They have a free event all for everyone. They have free lunch, a basketball raffle. They also have fresh produce, giveaways and vaccines, and they start at 2. So it's from 2 to 4, and that is today. So if you'd like to go over, you can go over and join them today. Okay, next is on Thursday, which is March 20th, WEHA is sponsoring the live annual radio-a-thon fundraiser. Okay, you can talk with Lady Praise, El Presidente, who's Deacon William Hawks. This radio-thon will be going on from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can hear it. And you can hear more about it. I think they have a commercial, but you can donate now. Every announcement that I'm making today is actually on my Facebook page, so you can go there and scan or whatever you need to do. But Thursday, March 20th, will be the annual Radiothon fundraiser, and that's helping WHA in the community keep our radio station alive and well in our community. Also, we want to remind you that every fourth Wednesday of the month at 11 a.m. to 3, which coming up on March 26th, we have the Westminster Christian Worship Center food distribution, and it's at 2015 Morningside Avenue in Atlantic City, and it's appliance choice, which means you bring your bags, your wagons, your carts, or whatever, and you fill it up with whatever you like, and they have everything: fresh produce, fresh meats, household products, baby products, all kinds of stuff. They have everything. Look at my announcement. They also have even adult depends and things like that you need. You come out, and a lot of people are there, and they come every month, and we say, see you next month. So we'll see you on March 26th. Also coming up on Friday, March 28th, Dr. Witherspoon and Pastor Diana Lyles will be honored at the Harvest Tabernacle Church. It's called Just Us Girls, and that's going on at 203 North South Carolina Avenue, and Bishop Vondell Robinson and Lady Ruth Robinson welcome you to Just Us Girls, and they will be honoring Dr. Witherspoon on the 28th. Also, we want to, Dr. Witherspoon and I would like to extend and express our prayers and condolences to the Williams and the Curtis family in the passing of Michael Williams, and his face is on my Facebook page. He also helped with the community food distribution with Dr. Witherspoon for a long time. So we're praying for his family. Some are here, some are in Atlanta, in different places, but they will be gathering. You will hear more information about that in the coming days as they're finalizing the Celebration of Life services. We also want to extend our prayers and condolences to the Sabatini family. Some of you may remember the Sabatini restaurant on Pacific Avenue in Atlantic City. Well, Stephen Lee Sabatini passed away. He was a teacher at Pennsylvania Avenue School. And Dr. Witherspoon did inform me that the Sabatini restaurant sponsored her campaign at one time when they owned the restaurant in Atlantic City. So our prayers go out to that family. Now, today we're happy to welcome our guests, Women in Ministry, in honor of Women's History Month. I am so proud to do this every year. We did it last year, we're doing it this year, and we're so excited. We have a reverend, we have a pastor, and we have an apostle. There was such diversity in women ministry. So what we're going to do, we're going to start out, we're going to ask each of them to introduce themselves, tell us who they are, where they're from, and what's going on, and then we'll get into some great questions to ask them about their ministry. Reverend Moore?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, beautiful. First of all, thank you for having myself on this program. It is an honor, and I'm humbled to be with the ladies that are presented today. My name is Reverend Julia Moore. I'm Associate Minister at the New Mount Calvary Baptist Church, where my husband, Reverend William Moore Jr., is the current pastor. I've served there with him for a long time. We've been there for over 30 years. We've been married for 37 years, coming up on 37. We have two lovely daughters. I am been ordained a minister in the gospel since 2011. And I've been humbled to serve and preach not only at my own church, but also in various communities, and various churches, women's conferences, revivals. And so God has really started to open doors for me to share the ministry. And I'm also I hold different positions at church. Of course, we all do. When you're a pastor's wife, you do a little bit of everything. But Sunday school teaching, trustee, whatever it is that needs to be done. I am also a founding member, one of the founding members of the United Gospel Singers. And I've been singing with them for over 30 years. And we do background singing for gospel recording artists, Duncan and Michelle. Also, I've been blessed to be the chairlady of our women's ministry at church, as well as the president of our local ministers' wives and ministers' widows of Atlantic City and vicinity. Been the president there for 4 years now, and God has truly, truly blessed us. And so I'm just a humble being, just being used by God.
So beautiful. Wow. I pour a lot of hats. Pastor Gallagher, and coming to us from Atlanta. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Just as Reverend Moore says, that it is an honor to be here. Thanking you, Pastor Mary, for allowing us to have this platform space with you and to WEHA. I am Pastor Hope. I am a community pastor. I was raised in the church all my life by my grandfather, pastor, the late pastor, Robert Lee Tyson Sr. of Peter's Chapel A&B Church in Columbus, Georgia. I'm also affiliated with Redeemer Love Christian Fellowship Church, where the overseer is Dr. Alicia A. Oatman. I am a wife of 40 plus 2 years. I have 2 children, 1 son-in-law, 3 beautiful grandchildren. I am an author. I've worked in, as a PK, I've worked in so many areas in the church. I've seen a lot. But one thing I am is that I am saved, and I am so glad that I am saved in these last and evil days, and I have a peace of mind, and I don't take it lightly every time God gets an opportunity to just go forth, to just encourage. That is what I do, and I just thank and praise God, because not only did he call me, but I was one of the few chosen.
Beautiful. And Apostle Woods.
Good and great morning to you beautiful ladies, and I thank God for being here this morning. I'm just so honored that she is my mother, has allowed me to be here on this platform this morning. So I'm godly blessed and honored to be here. I am the apostle of Kingdom Advancement Leadership Church that has been in Ascension for over 16 years. I'm also the CEO and the founder of Destined to Lead Enterprises, which is an online academy. And what we do is we help small business owners and ministry leaders to help them to understand what God is calling them to do and help them to understand what their struggles are in leadership for their business or for their ministry. I'm also an author of many books. Some are Out of a Wreck I Rise, a prophetic instructional manual. I have many. I make all of my curricula for my online academy. Just recently, we have a fit class for women, and we'll talk about that in detail. And I've made our own journal, our own personal journal, and we're going to have that published in their own workbook. So I do a lot of ministry. I'm married to Mark Wood Sr. for over 32 years. I have 3 grown children and 2 grandgirls. And again, I've been in ministry for over 30 years. Also, I've been a PK as well for a long time. So, born and raised in this. And so thank you again for this opportunity to be here on this platform.
An honor and a pleasure for all of you. And I'm going to start with Reverend Moore, who are just coming off a beautiful event too. You had a Black History event, and then you turned around and had a women's event. I was like, wow, that's a lot. So how many women are under your leadership in these groups? Because I saw all of that. Yes.
Yes. So first of all, with our church, we are a small church with a big heart, just following the call of God. So there are quite a few women there. I don't put a number on them, but that are really, really helping to build the kingdom of God there. It really helped the pastor, to really help the ministries there. And so as a spiritual leader for the women, just one of many, but as a spiritual leader for the women, it's just an honor to be able to be an example for them. And for the ministers' wives and ministers' widows, I believe we have about 20 to 23 or 5 ministers' wives or ministers' widows, pastors' wives that are currently in the local here. Although we are part of a larger group, we have the state of New Jersey ministers' wives and ministers' widows, and that is about 300 women. And then we're part of a regional, which is even more, and then an international. So, which is even in going into Africa and Bahamas, all over. And so it's a vast organization. So I'm just privileged and humbled to be able to lead these women here. We did have our Black History program, which you spoke of, Friday the 28th. We were able to be hosted by Dr. Thelma and Westminster. And it was just a blessed event to see all the young people come out, and that was to benefit our scholarship fund for the community that we will be giving out soon. And then turned around, and then the following day, we had our women's conference from our church. And so it was a busy, busy weekend, but it was blessed, and each event was, we don't put an emphasis on numbers, but it was a crowded house. And so we just thank God because the women came out, especially on Saturday, just to be filled, just to be ministered to, just to be able to let their hair down and release. And it was just a blessed event. And so, the ministries of both are growing. And my prayer to God is just give me the wisdom and the vision to be able to lead in the proper way. So thank you for that question.
That's a beautiful. Now, Apostle Woods, you just came off of event as well. So you want to tell us about that?
Yes. From March 7th to the 9th, we were in Sandy Cove, Maryland, at Sandy Cove's Ministry. We did our 2nd annual women's retreat. Our first last year was just so blessed. We just had a handful of women in a room, and God blessed us so. Oh my goodness. So we did it again. This was our second annual women's retreat, and the title of that was Birthing the Vision. And we had over 20 women in a conference room all weekend. And it was just such a blessing. Oh my goodness, God just really blessed us. Holy Spirit came through, and just really every woman was touched. Friday night we had Dr. Virginia Booth, which she came in as the gynecologist, as the doctor, to present a word for the women. And it was just such a blessing. Just a demonstration of that was just such a blessed night. And we did workbooks for them. We did journals for them. The decorations was just so phenomenal. Thanking God for my mother for helping with the decorations. It was just a blessed weekend. I believe that a lot of times we go to retreats and we're so tired in between going and coming. I gave them some downtime for so many hours out of the day just to take time with God and themselves, because a lot of times women are on the forefront doing everything for everybody. And so this is what this is what this retreat was about. It was all about them and getting back in touch with them. And we had a masseuse come, and she came and gave them a massage, and it wasn't just a chair massage. She brought a whole table, and they were laid out on this table, and they were just rejuvenated. So that was our title: rejuvenate, reset, renew, refresh, and get a release. Then we also did because we was supposed to do a bonfire. That didn't happen. It was too windy outside. So we did a release of things that held us back for a year, things that held us in bondage, or anything that tried to hold us back in any capacity of our lives. We did this water soluble. We wrote everything down on this paper, and it dissolved in water. And so many women got a breakthrough. Some healing came in the room. It was just phenomenal. And I was just elated about how God just met us there again in another year. So it was truly a blessing.
That is beautiful. Now, Pastor Hope, I'm not sure, I haven't seen anything you're doing with that, but every Tuesday, all over the place, you're in every, once Tuesday's Thought Talk, she's at the beach, she's on the boardwalk. So I was like, fine, Pastor Hope, on Tuesday, you're doing such a great job in the community. Well, it's a community pastor. Because that's what you're our pastor on Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess I am. But which question are you asking me?
What is a community pastor?
A community pastor is, God gave us this about maybe 15 to 20 years ago. We worked in the position before we was given a title, and the Lord blessed for us to have this title through Pastor Juanita Witherspoon. A community pastor is, what we do is we take the ministry out into the streets from outside of the walls. And we go and we look for people, whether they're in the projects, whether they are in the penthouse. We bring the word to them, because in the days that we're living in, everybody's not going to come to church. Everybody's not going to come to your event. And there is somebody out there that needs to be saved, that needs to be encouraged. Me and my husband, we go and we visit nursing homes, because a lot of times, even though we have our family members that go, it's good to see a familiar face in an unfamiliar place. People are left there. A lot of times it's better to talk to someone outside the family and be encouraged by them. We go to the hospitals and we visit people. We go and we visit families that may be having problems, families that may be having needs. There may be a lot of personal things going on within that family that they don't feel comfortable talking to someone in their church. It's always good to talk to someone outside, because you're going to get an honest judgment. So we love what we do. We're always giving food giveaways, clothing giveaways, not just with the church, but this is outside in addition. People know how to get in contact with us, inbox us. We have a need. There is a family that does this. So our passion, my passion, even though I do preach in the pulpit, but my passion is out in the streets. because I feel that your ministry is really not effective until you can actually go out into the streets and pull them up out of the fire and then bring them into the house of God and allow the shepherd to feed them. And my motto is sheep beget sheep. Allow your leaders, allow the pastors, the apostles, the overseers to do what God has ordained them to do, and let us go out into the fields and let us go out and pull them out of the fire, and then allow the leaders to do what God has allowed them to do, and that is to be a shelter, to be a building over them.
Yes. You're working now. I'm going to go back to you, Pastor Hope. You're working down in the Georgia area now. But
That
when
is
you were
correct.
there, you worked everywhere, and I remember initially, you actually going into the Atlantic City places before they tore some down. So
That
the
is correct.
background area, you
Yes.
were in the courts. That's what they called
Yes.
them before, the courts.
Short
And you-
part.
And you ministered over there.
Yes.
And then, yes, so you've been doing this for quite a while, and we're going to go back to Dr. Moore, Reverend Moore. Now, what's the purpose of the groups you lead? You spoke about them earlier.
Okay, so the Ministers' Wives and Ministers' Widows, the purpose of that group is to bring together pastors' wives, ministers' wives, women that are now widowed, who their husband was in the ministry, is to come together to support one another. It's, I've been asked, why even have that when each individual woman has their women's groups? Because as all of us know, as women in ministry, sometimes you just need to be around those that are in the same capacity that you are. And it's a safe place. We create that for each other, where, sometimes there are things going on as a pastor's wife or as a minister's wife that you cannot speak to a member about. And everyone, including ministers' wives, need a place to release. And so we create that safe space of support for one another, where we can come together and share. You can share your ups, your downs. We bask in everybody's success, and we comfort when there's a decrease, or when there's something that's going on that can be traumatizing sometimes, and you just need to be able to come someplace where you can woosah, and not have it broadcast and not have it be judged, so we come together to support one another. In our meetings, we meet monthly, and we do try to end our meetings with some type of activity that is going to promote, unity within the group, and to be able to encourage the women when they go and minister to other women, to the women of their church, to be able to take something back, to be able to go back fulfilled a little bit more. I appreciate Apostle Woods with the activity that she did there at her conference. We do things similar to that in these type of meetings, where the women can just voice their opinion. We've all been there in church. We know church dynamic, and there's some things you just can't say. You smile and you say, "Oh, that's beautiful. God bless you." But then there's times when we just need to get out and we just say it. You can say it there, and it's fine. You're not judged, you're not ridiculed, anything like that. And you build each other up. That's what our community is for the ministers' wives. And for our women's ministry, it's the same thing on another level. The women need a place where they can congregate together and discuss women matters. There's so much hurt that women carry. And we have been built that way, to carry it, put on a strong front, and just keep moving. And sometimes, we have to be able to be around like-minded people that you can just feel at home with. And so I try to promote that within the Ministers' Wives, as well as within our church women's ministry, that this is a safe place you can come and just be free. So, that is the purpose of both groups, is to unify and to just build each other up, to support. We have so many groups that are out there that tear people down. tear women down. We're called everything but the names we need to be called. And so you need to be able to come together with other women, whether it's our church ministry or the minister's wives or whatever ministries we're under, to be able to unify and to support each other and to build each other up. And so that is the purpose of both of the groups that I'm currently leadership under over. So thank you very much.
It's great. Yes, thank you. And now, Apostle Woods, you have a group called FIT, F-I-T. Could you tell us about FIT?
Yes. What it is, it's a mentor program and it's called FIT. It is Females in Training for their King. Some years ago, I think it was 2022 or 2023, Holy Spirit had dealt with me about women wanting to be married. And in that case, there's a preparation that needs to happen in order for them to come into being married. So I'm going to be honest, at first I didn't want to do it, and the Holy Spirit kept pressing me. And so this year he said, build a program and do it. And so it's a 12-week program. And what we do is we focus on, and it's for the engaged, those that are dating, those that want to be married, that are single. And it's all facet of women to get them to understand, first of all, who they are before they can become a wife. Yes, and we deal with everything, going back to even what Reverend Moore has said, this is a safe place for them to really be healed, to be whole, to be, to become holy, and to understand what their job is. Because a lot of times what people are looking for, and I'm not going to say all that here, is their mindset is one mind, they just want a man, and they have to understand and know marriage is not about just wanting a spouse, And so in our days today, marriage is looked at so different. It's about the dress and the wedding. And then when they get married, they don't understand what's going on. So we talk about everything, we give them a very safe place to open up. And if they had prior relationships, what they've dealt with in those relationships and how their healing needs to come, and all of that. So, we're getting started. I have a small group right now, and which is really good because it took them a while to get really comfortable with each other, because first they're saying, well, I don't want to tell my stuff here. And I'm, so I had to get them to understand that it's a safe place for you to do. So they have homework, it gets really intense of the questions that I ask them. About dating, because dating is a whole nother thing now, even in the church world. And these are not just for church ladies. This is for anyone, everyone, so that they understand what marriage is, because marriage is a God covenant. And that's what I'm trying to get them to understand. So that's the basics of the program. It's a 12-week program for those that think that they're ready. And what we show them is, being prepared for that before they, for their king, before their king comes and find them, they have to be prepared. So that's what we're doing.
Back to Pastor Hope, actually Dr. Hope Gallagher. She was telling us about being a community pastor and working in the community. She also did the food giveaway. But tell me, how did your ministry come about?
Actually, the ministry came about over 40-some years ago when we was under the tutelage of Bishop Luke Witherspoon. And he would always have us, I think it would be like maybe summer times, we would go out the old-fashioned way, knocking on doors, handing out pamphlets, and inviting people to church, and then just being exposed to seeing things, because I never was a street person. Being in church all my life was more like sheltered. It exposed to me like, wow, this is going on. Wow, there are people that really don't know the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Or even now, down here when me and my husband is witnessing, I came across some children never heard of the Lord's Prayer. Never knew the Lord's Prayer, either the mother, never knew anything about the prodigal son. But it started back at Westminster with the street ministry under Bishop Luke Witherspoon Sr., and I just fell in love with it. But I also want to state that we're not just community, we're international. We have done ministry over in the Bahamas, Jamaica, everywhere we go.
Next question.
Even if we are on a cruise, I find
the next question I have for you, Pastor Hope. That's the next one.
That's the next
question I have for you. Yes. Hold on.
Okay.
You are global. Yes, you're global. We're good. Yes. I thank the ladies because I ask each one to send some questions because we don't always know what to ask, and then we might be limited in what we are asking. So it has become with me to ask people to give questions so I can enlighten the people, and I can become more enlightened just by the questions you give me. So if you realize you didn't submit a question, we can get to that towards the end. And then Pastor Hope, your next question is about that. But I'm going to go back up to Reverend Moore and ask her, how does your work in the ministry enlighten or encourage other women? Then I'm coming back to you, Pastor Hope.
Okay. I think that my work and my presence encourages women to know that they can do it. I'm a firm believer that ministry, whether you're male or female, doesn't begin when you put on the clerical items. You put on your clergy wear. That's not where it starts. It starts by the life that you are living, and by no means am I perfect at all, but it comes from the ministry of showing love and compassion, and being able to feel some type of empathy with somebody going through something. And so ways that I can, my work in the ministry enlightens or encourages others is leading by example. Teaching the women that, you can't tell a young person not to do something when you're doing it yourself. Right? You have to lead by example. You can't, minister to someone and then turn around and do the same thing that they're doing, that you're telling them not to do. You just can't do it because people will look at you as a hypocrite and say, why are you telling me? You're coming down on me. You're giving me scriptures, and you're not doing that yourself. So I think that being able to touch one person in our group is a success. To be able to prepare that person to go out to minister to someone else is a success. It's an encouragement, so I think that just being myself, I don't try to put on any fronts. Anyone that knows me, it's just me. And so I think that sometimes is a draw to people, to young women especially, because they can see that I'm just there to help them. And so even in both groups that I'm with, the women's ministry and the ministers' wives, we always come together to try and find new ways to reach our younger women in our churches. And the ideals and the ideals that everyone comes up with, you just never know. And so you get to glean from each other. That's one of the I think the positive parts of our groups. You get to glean from each other because you don't have all the answers. One church is doing this or doing that, and you're like, wow, I didn't think about that. And in ministers' wives, we make it a point that when we share something, it's okay if another church goes back and does that. If that one of the other ministers' wives goes back and implements that into her church, that's what it's for, to do a collaboration of ideals and events. And so to be able to encourage one another is I think the purpose and what I want women to take from that. So that's how it goes forward. Showing love just grows. It's like a tree with branches. It just grows. You love one, and that love is going to spread. It's going to encourage other women to go and love somebody else, to go and share with somebody else. So that's what I believe.
Well, thank you. Now let's get back to Dr. Hope Gallagher. And Dr. Hope, tell us about the global reach of what you're doing, because it is international.
Everywhere we go, we make it our business to do ministry. I believe that especially with a mantle on your life, your ministry never goes on vacation. And you always have to be ready and equipped to go forth and minister. And the global started like about maybe 12 years ago when we were over in the Bahamas, and we ended up meeting a few families, and God gave us a connection, and we ended up doing actually a toy giveaway over in the Bahamas. So we made it our business wherever we go, we will make connections, and wherever there is a need or help, that's where we would go. We'll connect with a pastor, people that we may meet over there. We keep in contact with those connections. Now we have people over there in Canada now. So I don't want us to be confined. I don't think that we should be confined, but I do believe wherever you go, you have to rest. You have to, go on vacation. But when it comes to ministry, that just never goes on vacation.
Yeah.
Because I don't care where you are. You could be on vacation. You'll find yourself ministering to somebody.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And now back to Apostle Woods. You have a new Women's Leadership Council for all women coming up. So can you tell us about that?
Yes, so our new Women's Leadership Council, we have a board of women that are in leadership in any capacity, whether that's in business or in ministry. And what we have done, similar to Reverend Julia, we have collaborated with other ministries, other women businesses, and what we're doing is we're coming together, building women, sharpening women, doing mentorships with younger women and young ladies. It's all about the female to get them to understand who they are and where they're going. People have visions and dreams, meaning they have a purpose in life, and it's our job to help them to understand their purpose. But sometimes they have to be encouraged. Sometimes they have to understand that they're worth it. And that's what we do. So we sharpen them, we strengthen them, we enlighten them. We just had a women's summit in January, and Lady Ruby Mizell came, and she was a part of it, and she gave a great workshop, and we had about 25 women that signed up. It's all free events for the community and ministry leaders, and what we're doing is we're strengthening and building and sharpening women from all facets. If they need mentorship, we incorporate that, but the goal is to get out in our communities and understand what our communities need, our young girls, because they're our future, those generations that are coming behind us, to sharpen them, to teach them, how to be women. And this is not just for ministry, or should I say church, but this is if they desire to have a business, we're going to give them the tools and the skills that they need to help them to understand what that is. If people need counseling, we're able to give them counseling, because a lot of times mental, emotional things are stopping people from moving forward. So that's what we're incorporating as well. So we try to do something every quarter, to help in our communities, but first helping the church and business first, and then branching out. But that's what the Women's Leadership Council has been built to do.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, Reverend Moore submitted a question, and she said, who are your inspirations in ministry? So I'm going to go around and I'm going to ask each of you the same question. Who are your inspirations in ministry? I'm going to start with that because she gave me the question. Reverend Moore, who are your inspirations in ministry?
I think that God puts people in your life for a reason in every stage of your life. And so I remember watching my mother be the one on our street where all the women came to, where all the women said, Miss Darnes, can I talk to you? And that had such a profound effect on me to be the one that people know that they can trust you to just listen. And so that was the beginning for me that inspired me to want to work with women, or just to be the person that I am. And so then in different stages, I was under my mother-in-law, Patricia Moore, as the first lady, and to sit under her and watch her minister to the women of our church and to women of our community, and then to move on into ministry myself in preaching, and to be surrounded by so many women that you get to glean from. So many women in ministry or in this community, in our own area, not just those that are nationally on TV or anything like that you get a word from, but from those right in our communities, including these two ladies here on our panel, that, when they speak, you glean something from them. And so you get inspired by that, inspired by different pastors' wives. It's so ironic that the Lord, I'm a pastor's wife, and the Lord surrounds me in a room with pastors' wives, and to be able to listen to them, to the things that they have to share, and the advice and the support. It inspires me to want to move on and to want to continue in this ministry. Whatever the Lord has for me, whatever the Lord places, whatever spot He places me in, whether it's leadership or whether it's under someone, because you can't be a good leader if you can't follow. And that, we forget that. If you can't follow someone else under their leadership, when you become a leader, you will not be a good leader. And so Lord has placed me under some beautiful women, strong women in their faith that I just learn from and inspire me consistently every single day, to continue on into this ministry. So I have various inspirations, and they all fall into that.
Thank you. Dr. Hope Gallagher?
My inspiration is I have a burden as well as a passion for pastors' wives. I watched my grandmother as a first lady. I watched some of the things that she had to endure. First ladies are not always first because the ministry is always put ahead of them. And that is one of the things that me and my husband do as community pastors is we help pastors. We help build their ministries up. We help them to plan, to give them ideas, to make things grow, not to come in and tear down or take over, but to build up where our services are needed. And one thing I learned even with my grandfather, which is why my passion is with first ladies, because when the pastor died, a lot of times the ministry died. So when we see that, me and my husband go to save that, even though a lot of times, people say that I'm committed, but when you're breathing, your flesh, your emotions, and your will can get in the way and causes you to take a back seat. So in being community pastors, we try to reach out to pastors and churches that may have lost a loved one, to continue to keep that fire burning, to continue to keep that flame alive. And one thing about pastors' wives and first ladies is that they're always busy. And even though people may look at the fact that, that they may have the fancy suits on and they have the big hats on, they have no idea of the work, the seeds that have to be sown behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So when you see a pastor's wife, and I had wrote a poem, when you see a pastor's wife, remember when you're honoring your husband, don't put her aside, because everything about the ministry, it starts with the pastor's woman.
Absolutely.
She's the pillar of the church.
Yes, thank you. Apostle Woods, who's your some inspirations?
I have to really piggyback off of both of what Reverend and Doctor has said. But first I have to say, and I'm not just saying this because you're my mom, but you have been an inspiration to me.
Yes.
And when I say this, I don't want to get emotional because I've seen it all, right? I've seen it all. You being a daughter to the leaders as well as a first lady for many years, and watching you work and do and be and still have wisdom and poise and walking through it all with integrity. I've gleaned from it all, even in the quiet moments or what people did not see and did not understand, knowing that understanding that has allowed me to walk in the character that I walk in today has allowed me to walk in the holiness that I walk in today. So I have to say that first, but I have gleaned from many women as long as I've been in church and ministry, but you are the first. People don't understand what the daughter goes through. Then the first lady, the wife, goes through, and what she has to, deal with. So watching that allowed me to understand ministry and church in a different way, even when I came back to the Lord, being under other leaders and seeing how the first lady was treated, or in other capacities in the ministry. So with that being said, I've gleaned from so many, and have learned from so many. So a whole lot of names I don't have, but with that being said, I've taken pieces, and this is not a negative. I hope this is not a negative. I took the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Right? And I learned, I had to learn from the good and the bad. And one thing about Holy Spirit, He'll let you know who you are and what you can't do. Right?
Right.
So I learned from it all, and that's, to me, is the best way to learn and to understand for where you're going, and to get inspiration from that alone. And so I've gleaned from so many. I've learned ministry at greater levels from great women of God, will not mention them, and was taught levels of itinerant ministry and what that looks like, and all, and did not understand that I was going in those directions, but God knew. So He sent great women in my life from day one, is all I can say. From day one.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Because He knew. Yeah, because He knew. Yeah.
Yes. And I would be amiss not to mention my mother. Mother Waiters has really been a foundation. As a matter of fact, I was talking yesterday, and I said to myself, I sound just like my mother. Just like that. And she was my inspiration, and did so much when women were actually taking young people to homes to help people clean their homes and mop. My mother had no problem picking up a mop and helping mop for new mothers, and cooking or taking meals, and never too high that she couldn't do things that were necessary in the community, and knocking on doors and going out and doing things. And now with the newer young ladies, and the reason you're here today, because you all are my inspiration. Pastor Moore, Reverend Moore, I remember you coming to us on our first Before the Throne of Grace ministry, and you spoke so beautiful. Pastor Hope, you sewed into me and said things and encouraged us, and we're just there over the years. And of course, my daughter, looking at her with all the things that she's doing and can't make it, and let people know she has her ministry and she's doing a great job. And just know that you may not see me visibly, I guess this word, but I support her. I'm there, and I just wanted that, people to know that. And one other lady, Pastor Wilma Skinner, she's an associate pastor. I gleaned from her. She is a giver and a doer, and now people are doing things, and I say you're only getting back what you've sown. So when you sow these seeds, you're going to get those seeds back. And I salute Pastor Wilma Skinner and Pastor Barkley. I want to give a shout out real quick too on the ones that are listening to us, because Associate Pastor Barksdale is on here, and she will be speaking tomorrow at Remnants of Grace at 11. So Linda Williams, welcome from Georgia. Pastor Wilma Skinner, you're on here. Thank you for viewing. Reverend Duncan Lane, thank you for tuning in. Pastor Carolyn Barksdale, thank you. First Lady Oglesby, Carol Oglesby, thank you for tuning in. Pastor Grace Crump Holly, thank you for tuning in. Stephanie Dixon, Darby Hamlet, Robin Moore, Dr. Moore. She's another lady that inspires me. She's on my page. Read about her. Babs Dorn, who's been my friend since I think 5th grade. Bill Hawks, thank you for El Presidente. Mike Mars and Deborah Dozier, as always, thank you. You always tune in. And Judith Chamberlain Walton, thank you for tuning in and listening to our ladies. Now I'm going to go back into some of our questions and just thank you for being here with us today. Okay, back to Reverend Moore. And as you work in ministry, what are your goals, or what do you hope to achieve?
I want to achieve promoting unity. That's something that the Lord placed on my heart for each ministry, unity, because there's so much separation, and it doesn't have to be. And you would think that with the ministers' wives, maybe you would see that, but yeah, you do, because people have in their mindset. You think of a person and you say, "Oh, I heard this," or no. But when you come together and you get to know each other, and so I think that my achievement would be to promote unity and the women's ministry, because we have so many young women and coming into the church, and so one of my goals is to promote that unity between the young and the more mature, the one that just got saved and the one that said they've been saved for 40 years. The one that knows the church etiquette and the church life, and then the one that comes off the street that doesn't know that, we shouldn't be touching the communion table. We shouldn't be, there's these little things that we put in place, right? But there's a unity that has to be provided there, because, and I think what I try to achieve is to show that the ones that have been there for a long time, you can learn from the ones coming in.
That's right.
And the ones that are coming in, take time to learn from the ones that have the experience, that know the ins and outs, that knows with those type of things, or what to wear. But, be compassionate when a young person or a new person comes in and they don't know what to wear. That might be all that they have in the closet. And so one of the things that I bring up to our women's ministry is that, if you have to complain about it, go buy them something.
That's right.
If you can't take them out shopping,
that's right,
then you bless God, and then ask God to show you in your heart a way to approach them, to lead them. And it works. It works because before you know it, that person is feeling better about themselves, and they want to change. They want to do what we think is right. And that's not, I don't want to say that's like brainwashing or anything, but it's like Apostle Wood says when you're in our fit ministry, is that you're encouraging women to young women to know the things. Some of them have not been taught. Yes. Some of them didn't have a mother presence in their life, or an older woman to show them the ways of being a woman. And so that you may be the only person that they see and that they come across that can enrich their lives. And so unity is what I'm standing on. Unity, unified. No group is better than the other.
That's right.
Guess what? The mature women, we don't know everything either.
That's right.
There's some stuff out there that we definitely don't know about. And if you don't have a relationship with a younger person, you won't know about it. And you'll be talking, and they'll be looking at you like, she's so out of date, And so we have to have that unity come together. So mine is unity.
And teachable.
Yes.
Reachable. We have to reach out, but we also have to open ourselves up that we can learn something, because we don't know it all. Beautiful. Pastor Gallagher, one of your questions, and say, what levels of ministry do you have?
My level of ministry is to go higher and to push somebody to go higher than I am. That's one of the inspirations of the Thought Talk Tuesday, to build up and encourage, because like Reverend Moore said, there is so much ministry in us. And there's so many people that are going to be coming in. We, as the body of Christ, we already need to be in our place, not getting in our place. Because if you're in your place, you won't become intimidated or jealous when God starts sending newcomers in. And I often tell people, I try to build them up. Ask God what your gifts is. Go and pray. Don't become envious and want to do what you see somebody else do because it seems like the spotlight is on them. Because of the fact, number one, you don't know what their calling is. You don't know what they've been through to get to where they are. We see the glory, but we do not know their story. So my inspiration is to teach other men and women, whether it's pastors, whether it's bishops, or even just a lay member, to get in place and find yourself. Because if you find yourself in the ministry, then you'll be able to serve somebody else. But if you don't know your place, you're going to be all over everybody else's space. And that is what's important to me, because I've seen that as a PK kid, people in everybody's lane. And then the ones that seems to be the door stoppers, they end up stopping other sheep from coming in, being saved, learning, working on different ministries and stuff, because they have been discouraged by someone that does not really know their place. God has ministry and purpose for all of us. It is not for all of us to be in the pulpit preaching. Ministry is not just in the pulpit. Ministry is when you're at the church and nobody sees you, and you see that there's some things that need to be done. And you're able to get those things done without being told, without bragging and boasting. You're giving. The Bible mandates us to pay our tithes and our offerings. Tithes and offerings does not mandate you to take over leadership and do what you want to do. No, you are not doing anything special. You're being obedient to the commandments of God. So if we find ourselves in God and we get into position, then God will bring them in. God will make room. There's not going to be room when the house is cluttered. Not mean cluttered with chaos, cluttered with people don't know what their purpose is, cluttered with there's no organization. So my inspiration is for us as the body of Christ. If I discern, if I see, if God leads me, what is your gift? Why aren't you working? There are so many gifts in the church, but they're not being used and they're not operable. And we will walk into our call and our gift. It will make things so easier for the pastor, so easier for the leaders, and it will allow the leaders to be able to take a shift and do other things that God has allowed them, God has put in their heart. Because the leaders do not tell the congregation everything that they see or what God has purposed. But if we can get the flock and the body of Christ and get in position, it will allow the leaders to even go higher and pour into the body of Christ, because everybody is where they are supposed to be, but as well as where they need to be.
Thank you. Should we wait? I think she should receive an offering here. Yeah. So our engineers, no, we don't need a break because we have preaching women. We can fill the space. But we're winding up now with about 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you, could you give me about 30 seconds of closing questions? I really need to do this again. What words would you like to leave with our listening audience? I said listening and viewing because some are in the car and some are on Facebook. But I'm going to start with you, Apostle Woods. Could you give us about 30 seconds of what words or thoughts would you leave with our listeners?
I would say, just be mindful of, first of all, who you are, where you are. And when I say where you are, what capacity of ministry are you in as a woman, even as a man if men are on. But to understand that, I'll even go back to what Dr. Gallagher has said, if we know our place, then we won't be in somebody else's space. Right? We won't be doing somebody else's job. So our key component is to unify, go back to what's been said, right? Have compassion, right? Do our job, but be teachable at every level of our lives so that the whole can grow. If we're in a ministry with, with a church or under a church, using that, support your leadership. Support your leadership by doing your job. Going back by paying your tithes and your offering, by doing what you're called to do for such a time as this. Time is winding up, and Jesus is going to come back sooner than they said that he was coming back before. Okay, so it's coming sooner than it was before. Okay, so we have to be ready. We have to be prepared. Souls are coming into the churches, coming into the kingdom, and we must be recognizing and understanding what our job is, and not what everybody else is doing, but what we're called to do. And that's what I say.
Thank you so much. And closing with Reverend Moore, your last thoughts that you'd like to leave with our community.
My last thoughts would be that, ministry, we may be in the forefront, Your leader, no matter what ministry you're under, may be the spokesperson or the one that people see. But I believe that women in ministry is the usher at the door, is the person holding the offering plate, is the person in the kitchen. You are doing a ministry. Your ministry is at home when you are showing your love to your children and your husband if there's one. Your ministry is when you're at the grocery store, when you're being polite to someone. So your ministry is just not the preaching, and it's just not when we put on our clergy gear, because we're all pastors, ministers here. It's just not when we're out